biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro,
like-
less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. My name is James Gisanti, and it is Thursday night. So you know what that means. We are in the Gym Pack Zone, where we cover all things TNA Impact. Guys, this was an episode. We had it all. We had a wedding. We had a world title match. We had we had some rebuilding after Slammiversary, and we kind of had a bald dickhead for a bit, but I'll get to that in a bit. Great episode of Impact. Had a little bit of everything for everybody, whether you like the action or the drama. I don't think there are any complaints here. I don't think there are any complaints about this episode of Impact, and let's just get into it. Right out the gate, we have a 6-man tag, as we have the Rascals taking on Speedball Mountain and Kushida. Now, if you're like me and slightly confused as to how we went from Kushida teaming with the Rascals to a week or two later becoming their opponent, I'm right with you guys. I don't really get how we got there. I liked seeing Kushida team with the Rascals. I thought there was so much there. I thought there was so much chemistry. But I'm not a booker. I'm just a mark like the rest of us. Like everybody here, I'm a mark. So it is what it is. But right out the gate, we had it was Kushida taking on Trey Miguel to start things off for both sides. Kushida was able to take Miguel down to the mat with a headlock, and then as they work their way back up to their feet, the pace obviously is picking up. These are a bunch of X Division guys. If you didn't realize it, Trey is able to tag in Zachary Wentz, and then Wes Lee also comes in, and the three hit multiple triple team spots. That's something we saw a lot in this matchup. Granted, Speedball Mountain is a viable tag team. They have been teaming for a while. They're not just some thrown together guys at this point, but the fluidity, the combination of all members of the Rascals being united, no matter the company they work for, NXT or TNA, it's very apparent their chemistry is super, super real. Lee then tags himself in and goes to work on Kushida, who is able to fight back finally and tag in the X Division champion himself, Speedball Mike Bailey. He came into the ring with lots of rapid fire kicks to Wes Lee, making sure NXT knows you do not mess with the X Division of TNA. He's able to get into a good lead and tags in Trent Seven, who picks up where Speedball left off, taking it to the former North American champion. Trent ends up running into a big boot from Lee, and this allows the Rascals to regain their control of the match. Lee tags in Zachary Wentz, who goes for his Bronco Buster, and it seems like the Bronco Buster is getting longer and longer each time he hits it. Is it like the stink face that there's no like offense to this? It's just humiliating. I don't know. I mean, either way, I don't want to get hit with the Bronco Buster, but could it pin me? I don't think so, but who knows? Tom Hannafin, who has definitely changed his tune on the Rascals since they've definitely been playing on the side of Angels a little bit more lately, is finally all in for the Bronco Buster. He was, shouting out Sean Waltman. It was really funny. Trey then hits a big double stomp and then then he cartwheels and flips into a simple elbow from Trent Seven, who is able to shift the momentum back. He then hits a DDT and tags in Kushida. Kushida looked for a hoverboard lock on West, who ended up making it to the corner and able to get the tag, bringing in Zachary Wentz. Wentz then hits a big dive onto Seven onto the floor. Speedball kicks him from the apron and then splashes onto him with a springboard moonsault to the ringside. This was a great spot. I expect nothing less from our X Division champion. Back in the ring, Wesley hits a flip into a big kick, only getting a 2 count. Trent then tagged himself in, climbs to the top, but Wesley runs over and hits a kick that keeps him dazed and confused. He climbed up to the top to meet him, but Trent is able to counter it and hit a big scoop slam off the ropes, but again, only getting a 2 count. Wesley then walks into a super kick from Speedball and a 7-star lariat from Trent Seven. God, I am ashamed of myself, and you guys are going to be ashamed of me as well. Just realize why it's a 7-star lariat. I thought it was kind of a knock on Okada. God, this is AEW all over again. I really hope the Rev isn't watching this right now because he has every right. Oh, in the comments, we got Fletcher Targaryen. Fletcher, I hope you're doing well tonight, bud. Been a while since I've seen you in the chat. Maybe it's only been a week, but I miss you. I miss you, and I appreciate you being here, so thank you. After hitting the 7-star lariat, they go for the ultimate weapon onto Wesley, but Wentz is able to run over, make the save, and disrupts everything. Wesley then hits a running back elbow to Trent Seven and then tags in Trey Miguel. They then hit, they just, at this point, they never lose control. All 3 men just ganging up on Trent Seven and Kushida. They do a triple team spot. And then Trey hits a diving splash onto Kushida and Speedball on the floor. This gives Wesley and Zachary Wentz just enough time to hit the high fly flame onto Seven and getting the pinfall victory. Lots of action. Great way to start the show. One of my big complaints about last week's Impact was just how little wrestling there was. I guess there were plenty of matches. I love you. I appreciate this, Danny. Daniel Hernandez in the comments saying, honestly, got to be my favorite TNA review on YouTube. This made my night. Maybe even my week. Maybe even my month, and we're only a day in. Thank you, Danny. This was a nice matchup. This was a fun matchup. Last week, again, I've been complaining. There were enough matches, I guess, on TNA last week, but they were all so quick. Daniel saying he doesn't even really watch TNA, but he likes keeping up with it through this show. I do my best here in the Gym Pack Zone. Always do my best to hype up the most consistent wrestling product on TV or YouTube, depending on where you watch it. Or even, I guess, TNA Plus. Great way to start the show. A lot of action right out the gate. Already 1 match in. I am appreciating the correction to last week's Impact that just didn't have enough wrestling. Whether or not there were enough matches or just the time was too low. Either way, vast improvement. Commentators close it out by showing the NXT Great American Bash graphic as they they share that the Rascals will be going for the NXT Tag Team Championships next week on NXT. I'm all here for it. I would love to see half of the Rascals going for the NXT title, the other half going for the TNA tag titles. I'm not necessarily saying I want to see the ABC lose the tag titles because I'm all about that Too Sweet life with Ace and Bay. But that said, it would be kind of cool to see 3 members of the same team holding 2 separate tag team titles on TV at the same time. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that, and they've got real potential to do something really fun here. But because I said it, it's most likely not going to happen. We then had a Jordan Grace vignette, which was very well done. Obviously, we all know this at this point. Between Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry, who, of course, I will talk about later, these 2 are being treated like absolute stars. They're being given opportunities to shine a little bit brighter just because of their connection to WWE, whether it's on the main roster, like Jordan was able to do, or NXT, like the 2 of them have been in recent weeks and recent months. Yes, Joe Hendry did have that concert on NXT this last week. I go check it out. He had a lot of fun with Gallus. He had a lot of fun at Booker T's expense. And of course, it's Joe Hendry. It's always a lot of fun. Jordan does get into her match last week with Ash by Elegance, saying that Ash definitely earned her opportunity, but she is still the Knockouts champion for a reason. And she sets another open challenge for next week's Impact. We've been getting a lot of these open challenges. I'm expecting it's probably going to be an NXT star. At this point, I just hope I'm fine. At this point, they've broken me down enough that if it is just an NXT star, that's cool. Just let it be somebody with a little bit of name value, guys. Please. Please. I don't think I'm asking for too much. Just a little bit of name value to make the trading a little bit better. We got Wesley here in TNA, and that's been great. I love Wesley. I think he and the Rascals, the rest of the Rascals, have been making the most of this talent exchange. It's been awesome. Give me more of that for Jordan. I don't want her just going over rookies. Let's go with rookies. But moving on, we have a backstage segment with Campaign Singh, who is, of course, with me and Gia Miller, who, Gia, I got a lot of love for you tonight, girl. Josh Alexander had no right, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Campaign Singh is with Gia, who was supposed to have the former X Division champion Mustafa Ali instead. Mustafa nowhere to be found, but he is on the phone with Campaign Singh. Singh is clearly upset, and he then, as he gets off the phone, tells Gia that Mustafa is questioning his loyalty and his credibility to the campaign, and he needs to prove it somehow to get back in Mustafa's good graces. He then walks off, and we are all very confused. We then go to a very quick matchup, a very quick knockouts matchup, as Rosemary, her first match back in quite some time, takes on Kristara, who I'm not familiar with, but she looked pretty good. I'm not going to lie. This was obviously a little bit of a squash match. This was a little bit of a reintroduction to what we should expect now from, I guess, this new, different Rosemary. At the very least, she's blonde now. But for the local enhancement talent of the week, Kristara looked pretty good. She had a nice, crisp fisherman suplex with a nice bridge. And while that might have been really the only offense that she really got, because Rosemary just absolutely bum rushed her, just destroyed her, and then finished her real quick with her finisher as above, so below. Nice move, by the way. It's very similar to, I guess, Saraya's. It was Rampage before. I don't know what it is now. My bad. But I love a good elevated dropping DDT. Looked really good. And happy to see Rosemary finally back in the ring. It's been a while since, I don't want to say the disillusion of the Death Dolls or the Decay, whichever they were by the end. But ever since Havoc's been gone, we haven't really seen Rosemary in the ring. We've seen her attacking the concierge and getting involved in Ash by Elegance business, but that was it. Those two were watching the proceedings from the back on the TV, on the screen. They never made their way out to the ring, and quite frankly, I do not blame them. Rosemary came out with a duffel bag that had... Danny says he thinks it's called the nightcap. It works. It fits with the pun of it all. But all right, nightcap. Rampage was good. Nightcap is good. I like puns. I just do. Rosemary, who came out with this duffel bag and pulled out a black rose from the bag, laid it on top of Kristara, crossed her arms, and left it on her chest. Very creepy. Very creepy, but I'm here for it. Rosemary is a great talent. The Knockouts division definitely needs a little bit of a shakeup. And as long as she's not going for those goddamn tag team titles, I will follow her no matter where she goes. So welcome back to the ring, Rosemary. We then go to a backstage segment with the System. The System, who are hurting a little bit after Slammiversary. All of them have lost their titles, of course, except for Alicia Edwards, who of course got everybody going. All of them basically said the system is in need of a reboot. Eddie Edwards said, yeah, we lost, but you know what? We'll come back. Brian Myers saying they are still the greatest group in professional wrestling. Dango saying that he would take a bullet for every one of these members of the system, and he did take a bullet from Moose last week, but it's cool because he believes in the system. He wants to be the system. He is the system. Moose saying that he will regain his championship at some point and that the group will dominate once again. I don't know where this group goes from here, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's always good to have a heel group in your company. It's always good to have a dominant heel group a dominant heel group in your company. But they didn't have a lot of heat with those championships. I think everybody is much happier with the current championship selection. And it's not just because everyone's a babyface. It's just everybody's a lot hotter between the ABC, between Nic Nemeth. These are guys that we want to see with the titles right now. So I'm not against any of them regaining titles in the future, but I would like to see them show a little bit more, heat. I don't know, a little more passion with everything they're doing. I don't want to see like a weak or lamer main event mafia. I don't want to see another just we're dominant and we're sitting at tables because we own everything. Like, give me a reason to actually dislike you guys, not just because you're heels. And I know they're all capable of it. Moose is the golden boy of TNA for a reason. Eddie Edwards has been doing this so long, he knows what he's doing. I finally care about Johnny Dango Curtis. And Brian Myers has delivered with everything that's been asked of him. I know this combination of guys can work. They just need something to actually get me to buy into it. But it's okay. As they said, the system needs a reboot, a reset. I think we're going to get it. Let's just see what that means and what that entails. We then go backstage to a Mike Santana backstage promo. He talks about having unfinished business with the system. He says, he showed at Slammiversary he can go. He looked dominant at Slammiversary, but he hasn't forgotten about the trouble that the system gave him. As he's going on, he gets interrupted by Campaign Singh. He is ready for a fight, is Santana, and Campaign Singh looks very unenthused and not so confident, but he still challenges him to a fight anyway because he needs to prove himself to Mustafa Ali. Santana is ready for it. He tells him to tell Santino to make it happen, and I think we're going to have it happen. We then go what was supposed to be an in-ring segment with Josh Alexander. After getting introduced by Jade, his wife, which I want to talk about in a second, but once his music plays, nothing happens. He gets introduced again, nothing happens. We then go to the back where we see that Josh is with Gia Miller. And this is why we have heat, Josh Alexander. I'm not mad at you for costing Joe Hendry. Not today. I'm not mad at you for costing Joe Hendry the TNA World Championship. I'm not mad at you for feeling that you're underappreciated and you got some sparks that you gotta let fly. What I am mad about is how dare you take out your anger? How dare you show any level of disrespect to mean Gia Miller? That woman is just doing her job, and let me tell you, she does it well. She does not deserve your crap, Mr. Alexander. I don't care that you could drop me on my head. I don't care that you could snap my ankle like a twig. You got a problem with Gia Miller, you got a problem with me, and you got a problem with the Mark It Down podcast. Keep it to yourself next time. He goes on a pretty massive tirade about feeling disrespected. He doesn't care where he's supposed to be right now. He says he'll talk right here if he wants to. He rants. He talks about the fans believing in Joe Hendry and not believing in him. But it is he who carried TNA on his back for years. He then gets super annoyed, walks off, and then in comes Ryan Nemeth, who checks on Gia Miller to see if she's okay. She is a professional. She is okay. Doesn't make it all right, though, Josh Alexander. This was then a nice segue into Ryan Nemeth's match. Ryan Nemeth, who went on to take the fight to Frankie Kazarian. A Frankie Kazarian who, after getting introduced to the ring by Jade, refuses to start the match really until he has Jade redo the introduction and remind everyone that he is the king of TNA. Ryan then acknowledges the groans from the crowd, and in doing so, he turns his back on Kazarian, and Kazarian takes that opportunity to charge at him and try and sneak attack him to get some early offense in. Nemeth fights back and shifts the offensive back in his favor, and he goes after Kazarian's arm. Nemeth then hits a beautiful drop kick on Kazarian. Not surprised, it runs in the family. And Kazarian starts to fight back. He then grabs at him and begins turning him into what was going to be a rude awakening neck breaker, but Kazarian is able to avoid it and hit a big counter that allowed him to get the control once again. We then go to a commercial as this happens, and as we come back, Kazarian is still in control, not for too long, as Ryan is able to get a second wind and then just absolutely bring the heat to Kazarian, just unloading on him with strikes, punches, everything. Nemeth then goes for a gut wrench suplex that is only able to get him a 2 count. Nemeth then heads to the top rope and leaps off with a big crossbody splash for another 2 count, not getting the job done. Kazarian then begins to fight back. He hoists Nemeth up for the fade to black, but Ryan is able to escape out from behind. Kazarian then slingshot because Nemeth then goes to the apron, and in a weird set of, like, I've never actually seen this finish a match. Kazarian slingshots Nemeth from the apron over the ropes into a cutter. I've seen this as a counter before, usually after a splash, usually after an attempted move. But no, he just straight up slingshots Nemeth over the ropes into a cutter and gets the 1-2-3. This was an interesting finish, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I just don't understand what happened. How does this happen? He gets the pinfall. It was a fun spot. It was a fun match. Again, a little confused by the finish, even though it wasn't bad. I'm not complaining about the finish. I just don't get what was happening. But after the win, he starts to go up the ramp, and and out comes Josh Alexander. Kazarian kind of backs away from him. He's a little nervous, and quite frankly, I would be too after you bust the balls of Josh Alexander's wife. But Josh walked right past him, heads into the ring, picks up Nemeth, and hits him with a C4 spike. He then leaves him laying, doesn't say anything, doesn't make any reference to anybody. Kazarian has a smile on his face, and the crowd starts chanting the na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye chant at him. I guess Canada really loves that chant because we've been getting it every week on TNA. We got it at Slammiversary. We got it at the taping last week. We got it at the show last week. We got it again tonight. So I guess that taping, that cluster of episodes, that cluster of action that was filmed, they just really wanted to get that chant out. Anyway, we go back to more Knockouts action as Jody Threat of Spitfire, accompanied by Danny Luna, takes on Masha Slamovich, one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, who was accompanied by her partner, Alicia Edwards. I have my issues. You guys know I am a massive Masha mark. That's a tongue twister. Masha. Yeah. Massive Masha mark. Massive Masha mark. Massive Masha mark. Got it. And I haven't been thrilled with how she's been used. Granted, I am very much of the belief she's probably going to be the person to dethrone Jordynne Grace eventually. And I guess it's cool to just see her with gold regardless of the situation. But it just doesn't feel like it's it, guys. It just doesn't. She's been feuding with Spitfire for what feels like months with Alicia. She's sometimes not there, and Alicia gets way more TV time because of her affiliation with the system. But I'll take what I can get, even if it is a loss. Spoiler, guys. Right out the gate, Jody came out strong, but Slamovich is able to get into that early offense and is able to overpower Jody. She's able to hold on to that lead for a few minutes before Jody starts to turn the tide. Jody hits a running double knee to the spine of Masha as she was draped over the bottom rope. She then followed that up with a back suplex and a big clothesline for a close 2 count. For the second time, Alicia hops to the ring apron to try to create a distraction. But this time, Danny Luna runs over and yanks Alicia down. Edwards then sends her face first into the ring post, and the heels are in control. Heels, even though this is a singles match. Back in the ring, Masha hits a big gut-wrench powerbomb onto Jody, but only gets another 2 count. While the referee is distracted, Alicia Edwards takes her Knockouts Tag Team title and then wraps it around the bottom turnbuckle pad. She kind of strapped it in place. Masha tries throwing Jody into it. Jody is able to counter it, and she instead throws Masha face first into the championship. She then followed up with her finisher, gets the 1, 2, 3. I'd call this an upset. No offense, Jody, but the knockout, one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions was put down. So we are getting the rematch of a rematch. I think this is going to be the third matchup. I don't know. Danny saying Ali is done with TNA. He says that was quick. I got to check into it. If you've got something you could share, let me know. I do know that Ali hasn't been working under contract with TNA. Everything has been a handshake deal from the moment he debuted to now. The way this all played out, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the end, but I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, it's on Twitter. He released a statement. Let me see if I can find it. Not that I don't believe you. I just want to be able to read it. Let's see. Mustafa Ali. I mean, we're going to get to him in a second anyway. And if this is how you're going to go out, it is a great way to go out. I have the statement here. I'll read it right before we get into the match with the world champion, Nic Nemeth. We then go to a Joe Hendry vignette. Joe is talking about how grateful he is for the support he's been getting from the fans, how they have been believing in him, and they continue to show the support, and he's climbing the ladder in this business. He is, of course, referencing his time, not just in TNA as the top babyface, but his climb in NXT as well. He talks about the obstacles he's faced as he's transitioned into being a crossover performer, and he still wants the fans to believe in him as he strives for more. If you guys haven't heard, Joe Hendry did do an interview this week where he talked about how WWE and TNA have worked out a deal where he's essentially working out full-time at the Performance Center down in Orlando. The way I see it, guys, WWE is making sure Hendry is going to be ready for the moment he can split from TNA. He is going to be a big, big star for WWE, whether it's in NXT or on the main roster. TNA has done the majority of the work here, and WWE is absolutely going to reap the benefits. I can't be mad at Hendry because it's so clear this is what he's been working for. He does not do an interview without saying how much he wants to beat John Cena. He does. I will give him all the credit. Not beat John Cena, but wrestle John Cena. I will give him this credit too. He has never, ever made it seem like he does not want to be a part of TNA. He acknowledges he wants to do more, and he's excited to be working with WWE and NXT, and you could tell how much he wants that. But he's never made TNA, at least with his words, sound any less. Even in this vignette, he calls TNA the greatest wrestling company in the world today. This has been a whirlwind of a development with him. This has been a whirlwind of a story with him, where this is a guy who naturally got himself over. He pushed himself with going viral with his music. He's entertaining, and he's just, it's the perfect combination of everything going right for this guy. And I wish him the best. I cannot wait for the WWE universe on a larger scale to believe in Joe Hendry. I want the wrestling community to be behind this guy, but it's hard as a TNA fan to see them getting just bent over a barrel here by WWE. Jordynne Grace had her contract amended. That way in January, she is out of there and she is going to WWE. Joe Hendry very clearly getting the reps in TNA to then be ready for WWE. So far, the best thing we've gotten back from WWE is Wesley with the Rascals. And again, that's awesome. I don't want to diminish that. But TNA being a feeder for WWE on an official capacity is not what I had in mind for 2024. It's so crazy to look at where we started this year with Scott D'Amore doing everything he could to make TNA a viable brand on its own, going from Impact to TNA, getting that feeling back to now at best, you're on the same level as NXT. And again, I'm realistic, guys. I know that TNA is benefiting a lot from the perception right now. There is a lot of good that is coming from this partnership, where a lot more eyes are on TNA than they've been in a long time. But I wish those eyes were there for TNA and not for how it'll impact WWE. No pun intended on the impact there. But enough about the whining, enough about the complaining. I'm still holding out hope this will be worth it in the end for TNA and not just the TNA stars that WWE wants. But moving on, we then go to our matchup where we get some payoff with Campaign Singh and Mike Santana. Not much of a matchup, obviously. Santana basically dominated the entirety of the match. Singh tried to get some offense in, and he did, but it was a pretty quick beatdown as Santana hits his big drop move. What is it? The chalk outline. And then he hits the spin the block lariat for the pin, getting the easy win. I don't know what this means for Campaign Singh and Mustafa Ali, but apparently I don't know what's going on with Mustafa Ali one way or the other. But after the match, Santana gets on the mic and he talked about Slammiversary, and he talks about wanting to send a message to Moose before vowing before God, his baby girl, and his father that he will become the TNA World Champion. Look, as somebody who sees Santana wrestle live on a pretty much monthly basis because he is our House of Glory champion, I think he's got all the tools to be the TNA World Champion. I am rooting for him. He's got the look. The moveset is getting better. The crowd is really behind him. I still think he's a little far away. And as far as being the TNA World Champion, I obviously want to see Joe Hendry first. There are a couple of names that I think I would put in front of Santana, but not many. Not many. And if he's the guy to take the title off Hendry eventually, I think that'll be a big, big deal for him. Does that make Santana a heel? I don't know. I don't know that's the way to go. But give it a little bit of time, and I guarantee you, by sometime in 2025, Mike Santana will be wearing gold in TNA. Just to finish up, he promises Moose that he is going to hurt him, and he makes it clear that a hit has been put out on him as of this moment. We'll see. I was talking about a system reboot, But Santana is definitely going to need some help if he's going after Moose and all of the system. And this is a guy who very famously does not want to be part of a tag team anymore. He didn't want to do it with Steve Macklin. I don't know who else he could bring in for this one. Moving on, we go to our main event match of the night, as we have the TNA World Championship on the line as Nic Nemeth defends against Mustafa Ali. So I will spoil the ending here for you. Yeah, guys, Nic Nemeth retained against Mustafa Ali. I love that TNA acknowledged that they have wrestled before, but under very different circumstances. The last time these guys wrestled was 2020. It's going to be crazy if this is true, but I think 2023 in WWE on Monday Night Raw. Again, kind of bonkers to think, but there you go. Of course, Mustafa Ali, the former X Division champion, made his way out to the ring first. We got a quick tail of the tape graphic for the match. And then our world champion makes his way out to the ring. I thought it was a little funny as he did his slide on the apron. The belt fell off of his waist. I hope that's not a sign. You are meant to be champion, Nemeth. I promise. I'm rooting for you. Commentary also made a note of this is the first time the World Championship has been defended on Impact since November of last year. So nice that we're seeing this this first defense of Nemeth's on Impact proper and not on one of the pay-per-view events or one of the premium live events. We then immediately go to a quick commercial break, but we come right back, and then the bell sounds. Nemeth slaps a side headlock onto Ali and gains control over him, but Mustafa is able to escape and put Nemeth in one of his own. Tit for tat here. Mustafa then slowly starts to build up an offensive lead until he makes a mistake where he is gloating and is just letting himself get a little too cocky. Nemeth gets that time to recover, and he comes at Ali with everything he's got. He picks up the speed, he moves up the pace, and he hits the ropes, and he puts Ali over them with a massive clothesline. After a little bit of offense on the outside, Ali sends Nemeth basically chest first into the turnbuckle in a very, very fast-paced way. It was kind of a rough, brutal spot, but it looked really good. And of course, Nemeth sells everything like a bullet to the chest. As he's recovering from that, he goes on the offense himself. Ali does, but then tit for tat again. Nemeth then sends Mustafa face first into the middle turnbuckle on the inside, and he's able to reverse the momentum in his own benefit. Despite that, Ali is able to grab Nemeth and hits a modified electric chair slam onto the floor at ringside. As the officials are checking on Nemeth, Ali gets back up and celebrates his work and celebrates himself for being the man that he is. We then go to another commercial break, and as we come back, both men are going back and forth, trying to steal the win, especially Ali. He hits another, He hits another sharpshooter, reminiscent of what happened at Slammiversary, hoping to get the win through nefarious means. Canada just won't have it, though. Nic Nemeth is able to get out of it, ultimately hitting a super kick and then the danger zone. You might know it as the zigzag, and he is able to get the 1-2-3 and his first successful title defense against the former X Division champion, Mustafa Ali. Now, we are going to check out what this press release was from Mustafa Ali. My fellow citizens of TNA, over the past 6 months, we have made great progress as a company. Today, TNA has the strongest fan base in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our X Division, in lowering the number of senior citizens on our roster, and in expanding affordable tickets to a record number of fans worldwide. We've provided critically needed entertainment to millions. Past the first limits rule for the X Division in 22 years, featured the X Division Championship on the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated for the first time since 2006. Appointed the first Pakistani Indian American as champion. Main evented record-breaking attendance shows, TNA has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the citizens of TNA. Together, we overcame unfit and unfair leaders. We've protected and persevered our X Division. Preserved our X Division. And we've revitalized and strengthened our alliance with promotions all around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your X Division champion. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is the best interest of my party and the X Division for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my independent obligations for the remainder of my term. I will not speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Campaign Singh for being an extraordinary campaign manager in all this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the citizens of TNA for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today that what I always have, that there is nothing that TNA can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are TNA. Mustafa Ali. Yeah, sounds like he's only going to be working the indies for a little while until he lands somewhere. I don't know if he intends on going back somewhere or going somewhere new that he hasn't been before, but it does certainly sound like his time in TNA has come to an end. Quite frankly, it was a great run. He had some banger matches in the X Division against Jake something, against Speedball, against the man he won the X Division championship from. Always a pleasure to have a talent like Mustafa Ali make his way through TNA. He happily defended that championship on many an indie show. I got to see him firsthand defend it against the Amazing Red in House of Glory WrestleMania weekend. So thank you, Mustafa Ali. You did a admirable job as our X Division champion. I wish you luck no matter where you are, and hopefully I will see you on a TV screen very, very soon. If you guys hear my dog snoring in the background, I do apologize, but you have to admit, it's pretty darn cute. But moving on, we are here for the main event segment of the night as we have the wedding of PCO, Perfect Creation 1, and Steph DeLander. Guys, I was expecting this to go a lot of ways. And we kind of got to where I thought it would, but not the way I expected it to. Outcomes first, I believe the best man of the night. We had Rhino come out in his wrestling gear, but also wearing a very crumply tie. Then came the maid of honor, Zaya Brookside. She was dressed to impress, had her flowers ready for the bride-to-be. Then out comes PCO, draped in gold, wearing the TNA Digital Media Championship and the International Wrestling Championship that he won at Slammiversary, both of them from AJ Francis. Presiding over the ceremony was Santino Marella himself, and then out comes the blushing bride, Steph DeLander, accompanied by Dr. Destro. Haven't seen him in a while. I know that PCO loves having him in his vignettes, so I thought that was really cool that he made an appearance here. She was decked out in the nines. She was dressed as the Bride of Frankenstein with the hair absolutely doing the job and wearing a wedding dress that very much gave the vibe. Commentary was all over it. Tom Hannafin sniffling as this was happening, pretending to get choked up. Matthew Raywald just absolutely not giving a single shit about anything that's happening. Santino begins the ceremony. He informs us that the bride and groom have decided to share their own vows. DeLander did a really fun one. She says she takes PCO to be his unlawful undead bride. She promises to never bolt on him, nor complain when the electricity bill is really high. She promises to always make him love and keep him in stitches with her sense of humor. She says his cup will never run dry, as she will be his wine. She then finishes with "Till death do us part." Then comes Pico, as Santino Marella says. Of course, that means PCO. He then gets ready to do his own speech, share his own vows. And of course, it is just Stephanie. Just grunting the way PCO does. I'm actually surprised he got Stephanie out at all. Santino then says that it's time to present the rings, and DeLander puts a ring on PCO's finger. PCO does the same for Steph. But instead of just taking out a ring, there was a cold, undead finger attached to it, and PCO says that it is his grandmother. We're just doing this. This is the world we live in. Sliced fingers with rings on them. Yep. He then takes the ring off and then puts it on Steph's finger. Santino then says, if anyone has a good reason why these two shouldn't get married, speak up now or forever shut up your face. Marella gets that out, and then out comes AJ Francis and his brother, his rich homie Swan. He says he is not here to stop this. He is not here to cause any trouble. He said they had a classic at Slammiversary, and he just wants to watch this firsthand. Santino reveals that he got certified at icanmarryyou.com, and then says, normally I'd say you could kiss the bride. He follows up saying, this is Montreal though, so you can French kiss the bride. God, no shame. As they're about to kiss and Steph is able to at least plant one on his cheek, we get the theme song of Always Ready, the indie god himself, Matt Cardona. He comes out, he's got a gift in his hand, a wrapped up gift. Steph is happy to see him, and Cardona's got a big smile on his face. They, of course, obviously, you guys know, they have a huge past together, Cardona and DeLander. The indie god and the indie goddess, she is Cardona's corner person. Basically, everywhere he goes, they are partners in crime on the indie scene. Cardona gets in the ring and he walks right past Steph. He then reveals the gift is a cinder block that he beats over the head of PCO. The fans are pissed. He's able to drop Rhino. He is able to drop Santino Marella, and he just continues the beatdown on PCO as he just destroys the set and just drops it all over him. He then tries to bring Steph outside the ring with him, but she refuses to go with him, saying that this wasn't about him. This was about her. This was her wedding day. How could he do it? Cardona backs up. He seems to think that he seems to recognize that he messed up here. I should also mention that before he tried dragging DeLander out the ring, he did grab the Digital Media Championship and said this is his, not PCO's, and it's very clear what his intentions are. But as he is leaving the ring, Steph DeLander is now in tears and collapses onto the floor where she is being hugged by Isaiah Brookside. PCO eventually gets up to his feet, and both of them look confused and upset as the show ends. Guys, that was Impact. That was TNA this week. Like I said, we had a world championship match. Apparently, we had a departure of our former X Division champion, Mustafa Ali. We had a wedding. And it actually happened. There wasn't I guess there was a betrayal, but the bride didn't betray the groom in this instance. I'll take that as a win if I've ever had one. We had some excellent X Division action. We, of course, continued our NXT crossover as we had Wesley with the rest of the Rascals. And now we know our Knockouts champion, Jordan Grace, has another open challenge in store for us next week on the show. So, guys, I enjoyed the show, and I enjoyed having you with me. So thank you so much for being here. You guys know the deal. We here at the Mark It Down podcast cover everything. We cover TNA every Thursday. Most Thursdays, a lot of Thursdays. We cover AEW, we cover WWE. We try covering everything, and the more of you there are, the more we're going to do with you. We really appreciate you guys being with us. Our subscription count is still growing, and obviously that if I haven't said it enough, I will say it again. It means so much to us. If you are new, please hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. We really do. We have some really fun stuff planned for once we hit 1,000, and we are inching our way up. If you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, check us out on all of our social media platforms, whether it is Facebook, whether it is Instagram, whether it is TikTok, or whether it is X. You know we have a lot of fun, especially now Matt is going buck wild on our Instagram. Danny might have to wrestle some control over that. I would be down for a Mark It Down Instagram civil war. I need some chaos in my life. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. My name is James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast, and tonight we were in the Gym Pack Zone. You know the motto: watch wrestling, and of course, watch TNA. Have a good night, guys.